Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. It depends where you are watching. We have the legend with us today. His name is Michael Ray, and he's the founder and development director of Smile Project Louisville. He masters changing lives one smile at a time, and he wants to be the reason someone smiles today. Let's all welcome the legend, Michael Ray. My friend,
Dude, you have me laughing. Lose the yeah, thank you for having me, but lose the legend, dude. I am nothing but a legend. I try to embrace humility and look. Thank you for all those kind words, man. But
Michael, I'm gonna mark one of the questions. What makes you smile? So I did it.
that's exactly right, man. It's just a lot of times I tell people it's just the simplicity of human interaction. And most of the time it's human interaction with complete strangers is what brings it out. But no, I'm not a legend. I'm just a dude who is no different than you, who chose to create the change in my life and saw the impact, and then just kept spreading it, to people.
Michael Ray, welcome with us today.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Before we start, I apologize. The other time we should go live a week ago. It was out of my hands. You know the story, and thanks for your support and giving me space again. And you are here with us today. The humble legend, Michael Ray. It's all yours. Please tell us who is Michael Ray.
Who is Michael Ray? Wow, Michael Ray has been on a journey in which I guess that I have found on some level the secret sauce in life. And I think what a lot of us are trying to find is the ability on some level to live in eternal joy and happiness while we're here on this earth. And I say that I'm blessed with a relationship with so many wonderful people, but one who is uniquely special. And that special person is my daughter, Maddie. Has a nickname Moo. We call her Maddie Moo. She's 21. She has Down syndrome, which is not crazy unique, but yet she's nonverbal. So when you don't talk, you know, I look at the things that she has taught me to put me back to what I just shared as far as the ability to truly live in a state of happiness. So I have evolved as a man and a father in my lifetime to understand that and appreciate it, and to where now I find it in the simplicity of life. Mother Teresa tells us, when you come from such poor circumstances and you don't have all of the things that we have, you appreciate things differently and you find a place of love with just people. So as I went through, Nidal, what I call all those hardships and challenges that one goes through in life, I learned to appreciate, things more, in that we have this ability, regardless of what our circumstances in life, we have a choice and a perspective on things, in that I choose to smile and make others smile now, because life can be hard. It's not easy. And what we don't understand is, for some reason, it's harder for others. So that's kind of where my journey went. I'm giving you a small slice, but yet I really had an intersection then of an encounter with a stranger at a drive-through window. But I understood the meaning behind it. And when I had time a few years ago to reflect about it, it was then how my daughter brought me, out of, and I'll keep it real for people, it was the challenges of having a young daughter with special needs. it was losing a son. I worked in the mortgage industry when it crashed, so I had financial ruin, lost my house, lost my marriage, contemplated suicide. So I was there living it. And then as my daughter brought me out, understanding how a complete stranger in a brief moment of time can really just interject some life into your morning, to your day, to your week, your month, or in my case, my life. So I tell people now, we don't know, as we intersect with so many strangers through our daily routines, what another person is living and what they're going through in life. So sometimes then again, the simplicity of a smile can change someone's course of their day.
Michael, those are big life titles you mentioned. Uh, do you think Maddie was the boost to bring it?
There's no doubt in the two words when I would answer that question, my friend, is hell yes. Hell yes. But a lot of times I'm convinced of is that even though she was that boost, the analogy I always make is, look, if you're overweight and you need lose a lot of weight, well, look, you got to make different choices in life. So maybe you just got to start eating better. You got to get in the gym and do those things. And then gradually over time. And I think that's what I saw is that as I stated, as I evolved as a man and a father, it was those things that I was witnessing in my relationship with Maddie that started teaching me. I used to be the most impatient human being on the planet. She taught me a level of patience right now that would blow your mind. She taught me to understand, it's funny when we entered a pandemic and now I had this platform and movement, I understood her mindset in which, again, talking about living in a state of happiness and joy. I'm like, I looked at her and I laughed and I said, you don't know what fear and stress and anxiety is. You don't care that there's a pandemic going on, because she processes things so differently. So when you ask me that question and I say, hell yes, most certainly, because it was what I was seeing and feeling for years from her that started to impress upon me going, maybe it is this simple, this easy.
It is.
Yeah, it really is. It really, really is. It's a choice. And, so she lives in that state of happiness and joy because it's all about being around the people she loves. It's not about being defined, by material things and more money. And I won't, look, I'm not here to judge people on that. I often say that my role is not to judge you and the decisions you make, but again, I'm witness to it, is that it can be this easy,
But is she aware that she's a partner with your project to make everybody smile? Because she gives from her heart when you ask her to blow a kiss to the people.
You know what? I think the honest answer to that, Nidal, is I don't fully know. She comprehends, but yet on what level? And I only say that because, and I'm not saying she comprehends on a 5-year-old level, but I can give her some simple menial tasks to do and she understands and will go do it. But yet I don't know from a full intellect side, at what level, but she enjoys doing.
Exactly.
And so let me give you a great example, is that she finds such joy in being involved. So if I told her, if I asked my 14-year-old son to empty the dishwasher and fold 3 baskets of laundry, he'd lose his mind. But Maddie loves it because she feels the reward of contributing and being involved, and that there's something for her to do. So there's not that pushback. That task to her brings value and meaning to her. Whereas a 14-year-old kid, I'm just pulling him from his friends or his video games or just life, you know. But Maddie looks at it differently. So I do think she does understand, and just the simple act of taking her with me and handing a stranger some balloons, that simple act, to her, she finds so much joy.
God bless her.
And it's just handing somebody balloons, you know, that a 5-year-old can do. But for her, she processes it differently. You know, the one thing, too, that I have been able to understand with her is, and this is a crazy analogy, but it's like dogs. Dogs have this insane unconditional love for the people in their life. And you know what? Maddie has that for everybody. And it's not just Maddie, but the dozens, if not hundreds, of kids and young adults that I've been exposed to in the Down syndrome community. There's something insanely special about them because, you know, as Christ put us on this earth, I mean, really his first commandment was just just go out and love. And for her, she doesn't have this filter to where she looks at somebody differently because of society or life. So therefore, then it's just truly all about love.
Exactly. Yeah. You know,
It's just, she exudes nothing but love.
You know, it's common. Kids with syndrome, they show love and they are treated by love. And God bless her. For me, as a part of your audience,
Yeah.
I can feel and I can tell that she's happy when you bring this happiness and smile to everybody you are interacting with, because you know she could have a different reaction, but
Most certainly. Yeah.
she's involved and she's interacting. God bless her, and God bless all your family.
You know, thank you for saying that. And you know, there have been some, and when people watch what I do, in most cases, I'm giving people things of value. And when I say of value, there's financial circumstances or thing going on in people's lives. But for some of those in the Down syndrome community who I've taken, you know, smiles to, literally, you would think I'd be giving them 10 grand. You know, just some balloons and a hug and a high five and making them feel loved, they lose their minds. Because again, I think it just goes back to where we kind of started here, and that is, it's just the simplicity of life, is they just want to be surrounded by love.
Exactly. It's the care of the action of care you are showing.
Yeah.
Michael, there's a lot of comments. The first I'm gonna read is my wife's comment. Rola is my wife, and she's next door, you know, waiting for me to do the dishes.
And you get in there with that tie on and do those dishes.
I want your son to teach me how, you know, go crazy with the dishes.
Yeah.
Michael, all what you said reflects a mastering in resilience. With all what you went through, what does resilience means to Michael?
Well, you know, again, I think that's subjective. But when you ask for me, it's the, I guess, the ability to persevere, to not give up, to be patient. And that's hard. That's hard at times when we put the work in and we have expectations. And we expect certain things basically maybe on our time and not God's time. And understanding that those are on two different planes, in that, you know, you can still find a way, again, to be happy regardless of your circumstances. You know, for me, I the moment that I had, so when I was in the mortgage industry and when I thought I was the happiest, and really I wasn't, I was probably more miserable. Um, I was making $300,000 a year, had the big house, nice cars. I had all those kinds of things. And then I lost it all. And then I found myself after my divorce and being financially ruined and going through all of it as a mid 40-year-old man delivering pizzas, living with his parents. And I'm like, where has life gone? So you feel like then your life, and this was probably somewhere in 2014. And I can vividly remember pulling up in front of a,
Hello, Michael.
hello?
Yeah, now we hear you.
Okay. I pulled up in front of a church. I didn't have the courage to go in, but I sat in my car for over an hour crying, wondering how I was going to kill myself that night.
Wow.
But as I knew God was speaking to me, and I tell people this, God speaks to you all the time. You just most of the time choose to not listen. So for me, in knowing and trusting him in that moment that my life couldn't end there, that I was meant for something bigger, it took years. So when I'm asked about resilience, again, I think, like I said, I go back to, not giving up, being patient, trusting the process and the work, that has to be done sometimes to create the change you want to see in your life. So for me in doing that, I started on this journey making people smile in late winter of 2018, almost 3 years ago. And that was 2014. But, so it took time in figuring it all out to when I knew God was speaking to me at a Wendy's drive-through one morning. I knew what that moment represented. And I was like, oh my God, it's so clear. My daughter has brought me back to life. Now it's somebody at a drive-through window. Now, how do we do this for complete strangers?
I'm emotional. I'm so emotional. I could cry. So what you are saying, Michael, I'm sure all of us went through it, but not everyone has the courage to face himself and his fears and dig for the answers. You
Yeah.
know, I made my own mistakes in my life, and at certain point, I turned my life to a miserable life, not only for me, for my family, for my
Yeah.
friends, for everybody. But I don't have the courage like you to come out and say, this happened to me. I learned my lesson, and I'm starting a new start. That's a big decision, big step.
It is a big decision, but yet, you know, I didn't fully understand it for a long time, Nidal, of how that can then impact and inspire other people who are so closed off. And there was only a small circle of people that knew what I went through. But I guess I found this place through the strength and courage from God, through the relationship of I laugh about it. She's more perfect than you and I, even though outwardly looking, it looks like something's wrong with her. But, from these lessons in which now, never thinking, I said this early on in our conversation too. I'm just a dude, you know, that chose to do it. So now all of a sudden, I'm just that one guy that does understand the power of multiplicity. It's that ripple effect when we see that stone go in the pond and how it moves out, and now how many people that I've inspired and impacted. And in your life, look, you may not do as much as I do, but that's okay. But if you create that change, you know what? It may be with your family. It may be with your friends. And that's okay too. It doesn't have to be thousands of people. That's the beauty of
Exactly.
life. So
Exactly.
the impact that you would have with your wife, your children, your friends, your loved ones, those relationships, that's what's important. And honestly, on some level, I lost friends over this because I went through that period of time of insane depression and a funk. And I think people just get tired of it. So they make those choices, and that's okay too. But again, that change starts with you and just the people that love you in your life. It's that lady in the next room who wants you to do the dishes.
You mean my wife?
You got it, brother. Her, your children, your friends, people you go to church with. You start making all of those changes, and when they see it, you'll be an inspiration too. You don't have to inspire and impact thousands. And
And
that's the message I try to give to people too, is that the ability to find a place and understand and realize how amazing you are. Self-love is very important too, because when we
it is.
find this place of insane depression, and we put in our minds all the failures and mistakes and the miscomings that we've had, you gotta let it go, man. You gotta let it go. So once you do that and you understand that, and I do believe this, I am awesome. But when I say
Yes, you
that,
are.
but you know what? But when I say that, I say it again from a place of humility, because it's just self-love. It doesn't mean I'm better than you. I just love who I am.
If we don't,
And
if
you
we,
have to be comfortable and believe in you. So it's not about arrogance, ego, it's just, I love me. And that's okay. Self-love is important, as long as you don't take it where we think we're better than others, because we're not. We're all created equal. So it's once you find that, then, and you start creating this change, it just starts at home and with your circle of trust and the people in your life,
you are,
because they start to see and feel it, because that's where it started in my life. And when I started doing what I was doing, people saw the difference it made in me, and how I was changing.
you are totally 100% correct.
Yeah.
We can't generate love if we don't start with ourselves. Exactly. Michael, if you allow me, let me stop by all the who check in with us, and we have a lot of comments. Thanks everybody for joining us today. And this is an epic episode. Um, I have Mr. Jad Khalil. He's the president of International Association to Confront Coronavirus. He was my guest last week, and
Wow.
there's a lot of unleashed secrets. And Mr. Jad is saying every father can supervise his family by smiles. Even being severe may be done by a smile. I totally agree.
Yeah.
The shortest way is a smile.
It is, and it is that ability I say this, I could hop on an airplane, fly to India, not speak the language, but could walk up to a stranger and in an instant make them feel loved. And that can't speak their language, and I don't have to speak any words. I could smile and hug them. It's a lot of those, again, it's a lot of those nonverbal things. And that's where it started with Maddie, was, imagine being a parent. And one of those three things the three words we always take for granted as a parent, Nidal, is that your child tells you what? I love you.
I love you.
I love you. Now, yeah, maybe on some level they become a teenager and a little bit more closed off, but they say, I love you. I have never heard those three singular words from Maddie, but I have felt it. And I have felt it in her facial expressions by smiling to me, and the level of how contagious it is when people feel it. So look, I'm not a paid sponsor, even though I would love to be. But Coke did a commercial a few years ago, and I would challenge anybody watching this to go YouTube it. And all you have to put in is Coke happiness is a smile. They did a 90-second commercial where a guy walks onto a subway train He's wearing earphones. He's watching an iPad. And it's a crowded subway train. And it's a beautiful moment because no one knows on that train what he's watching, what he's hearing.
What he's hearing, yeah.
But you know what? He starts smiling. He starts laughing. And before the commercial is over, the entire train is losing their minds. They don't know what he's watching because it doesn't matter. So all of a sudden, in that moment, these people feel alive. They feel happy. They're probably walking out, leaving, going home at dinner going, you're never going to believe, but man, I was on this train this morning and this dude. Because that's the impact and effect it has on people. And I laugh now and convinced it doesn't matter what he was watching, even if the screen had nothing. It is how infectious, contagious. It's more so than a pandemic we're in, and how people feel. And that's what I say a lot of times, Nidal. The quote that resonates with me more than anything in my lifetime is that it's what Maya Angelou said, and that is, when you do things, people will forget what you said. They will forget what you did. But they won't forget how you made them feel.
Exactly.
And that feeling is love. It's just love to a stranger. And it doesn't matter now then that I handed somebody a $50 gift card or I handed them balloons. It's how I made them feel in the moment.
It's the
that
show
they'll take with me. The 50 bucks is
yeah.
fleeting. They'll spend it, it goes away. It's how I made them feel to maybe feel alive. So just this week, I mean, somebody had cancer, needed a kidney, lost a job, whatever the circumstances are. They then can feel great about themselves to be able to push through and understand that even though life is not perfect and it's not easy, it's still good.
It is. It is. Back to the comments, I have Amina Khatib. What a great story. What do you do when you have those who don't want to see the best in you?
Wow. I think it goes back to...
I think she means when you are surrounded with negative people that bring you back.
Again, start with self-love. You can't allow the negativity in your life to erode. I worked with a close friend years ago. And when we were in the office a lot of times, and I laugh about it and say, when I was going through the shit show in life, and he a lot of times came up to me and would always say, well, I'm better than you. But I always had a way to carry myself, and he would laugh and go, he'd be like, dude, he goes, I don't know what the hell you consume, but yet you just always feel alive. So I again think it's that situation of that those things take time and you wear on people and they see and feel it. If they're friends, then you have to make choices. And unfortunately, as I shared just a few minutes ago, because I found that funk for a long period of time, I think some friends in my life closed me off because you know what? I was bringing that negativity, that depression, that life was awful, and they didn't want it in their life anymore. Family's a different situation.
It's a different situation.
It's a different situation. And ultimately, it's hard to understand, but you ultimately have to go back to that place of love. And we live in a weird world right now too, in which politics,
no politics.
Is on the forefront. And I tell people, for the love of God, we've got to find a place where we don't agree on things, but we can still love each other and be kind, because we don't have to all agree. It's okay. So, and it was never more relevant than when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died last year.
Yeah.
And the story from her that I took was, what was so amazing was that one of her best friends in life was Anthony Scalia. They were completely opposite, opposed on so many things politically, but they had such an amazing love
relation.
in relationship for each other. So again, it is different. I would tell that person when it comes to family, but you just have to be centered with love and keep giving and understanding that those situations do take time. And trust me, you will erode them over time, but you have to be patient.
Exactly. We need
Yeah,
patience.
you can't expect over a weekend to be insanely positive and then
I
it's going
wish.
to change.
I wish. My sister also from Lebanon. She's watching us live.
Is
She's
that
saying,
not a blessing?
"Yeah,
That's this is the kind of stuff that blows me away. Hey, God bless you over there.
thank you, Michael. Michael, uh, let's start about your project, the big project, Smile Project, Louisville. The S is silent, right?
So it is. So people locally say Louisville. A lot of people outside, um, say Louis.
Oh,
you know, Louisville. For
I
people
think
who
it's
don't know,
French, right?
King Louis back in England, back in I don't know 1700s, whatever it was named after, King Louis here. But locally, Louisville, Louisville.
Lol.
Everyone outside of Louisville says Louisville.
If we took the Smile Project as the center, who is Michael Ray before the this project? You was telling us after the project. How is Michael Ray now? And
I, I,
let's start with the project itself.
yeah.
How did you create this project? How did you develop the idea of
Well,
it?
what most people don't know and what they really only see on some level from a social media perspective is they see what's gone on maybe in the last 12 to 18 months because I had a footprint locally. And that footprint, when I made a decision to kind of expand and share what I was doing on a few other social media platforms, and primarily, let's call it what it is, LinkedIn. Facebook is primarily a local platform. You connect
You can
with a lot of people locally in your community. LinkedIn, dramatically different.
the
You
project
connect with people
is on.
nationally and globally. Okay,
Mhm.
so it really shifted, but I think the things that carried over into what I always had in my life on some level is the ability to be selfless. Um, I think I have a huge heart.
Yes, you do.
I have a very natural ability to be charming and to make people feel comfortable around me. This is important as it relates to strangers. Um, so when I first started this project, again, I'd been doing the work to mentally kind of get myself in that position. But look, when this started in March of 2018, I wasn't a finished product. And I'm still not, but I'm going to go and answer your question. So when this first started, I wasn't doing random acts of kindness. What I did in that first encounter when I went through that Wendy's drive-through and I pulled over and I started crying and I knew that God was speaking to me, I got out of the car and I went and took a picture with the drive-through worker, not knowing. So then a couple of days later, I found myself working out in the gym and I had another encounter with a stranger. And after talking for, I don't know, 8 to 10 minutes, and we were laughing and smiling, I said, "Can I take my picture with you?" And then a few days later, I was somewhere else and I took my picture with somebody else. And so what I started doing and what I started feeling is I was in these brief moments with strangers and I just felt the energy, the love. and I started taking pictures. So I went the better part of over a month. I don't know, I took like 10, 12 pictures with all these strangers. And then I started, assessing what was going on and what I was feeling. And I started to feel going, wow, these interactions with these strangers in these very brief moments that I'm having are having an impact on me. I wonder if they're having an impact on them. So I made a decision to start sharing them on Facebook. And I would share who they were, where we were. And the funny thing too, Nidal, is I always asked that person in that moment, I kind of put them on the spot and I said, tell me something amazing about you. And people, and I still do it now on camera. And when I do it, sometimes people, what? And they're trying to process again, but I get them to want to feel good about themselves. So I started sharing that with people. So it wasn't that I was just smiling with Will from the gym or Chantrell from Wendy's or Ryan from the Vitamin Shop, and there's endless names, but it was also sharing why these people were amazing. So it started resonating, and I got a couple of months in, and I was like, okay, maybe I was sitting with my daughter at the time, who was like 21, and I was like, maybe I'm like doing this smile project. She's like, well, Dad, maybe you just need to create a separate page and start sharing these things. And I'm like, well, what would we call it? And she goes, well, you're doing like this smile project. And I was like, okay, but project sounds like there's this beginning and end, like a project. And then we said, okay, do we call it Smile Project Louisville? And I did have a brief fleeting moment at the time, because I remember going, what if this actually gets big? But there's self-doubt. You're like, no, I'm just taking pictures with people and posting them to Facebook. But yet I said, the hell with it. I love my community in Louisville. I've been here for 30 years. It's home. This is where it started. So again, that's all it was. I just kept taking pictures. I never knew the who, the where, the what, the when, the why, because it wasn't like it was Tuesday and I hadn't taken a picture in 3 or 4 days. And I'm going, all right, where am I going to go today and take a picture? I always just felt I was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And I felt it with somebody, because again, we do it. We don't realize when we go to Target, the grocery store, the coffee house, the gas station, all these places we go in our daily routines, and we just interact. We intersect with so many strangers that's kind of how it played out for me. But then I also, on some level, as I was taking these pictures at times, and I had started and told them my name, and I started getting messages from people thanking me. And sometimes they were telling me their circumstances in life, going, you just can't make up why we just met.
Wow.
And they told me, where they came from, or what was going on. So I got about 18 months into it. And again, as you asked me that question, and I continue to answer it, I felt the love from these people too, because a lot of times it ended in a hug, or something. And I wasn't spending, 30, 45 minutes with people. A lot of times it was 3, 5, 10 minutes with people. So I was about 18 months in. I literally, it was like an epiphany. I got out of bed to go to the bathroom in the morning, and I literally took like 2 steps, and I stopped, and I was like, oh God, if I really am trying to make the world smile, what if I did a random act of kindness for a stranger? What would we do? How would that look? And that's literally where it started. And then I made we kind of talked it out. When I said we, it was my daughter and the love, my woman in my life, my love. And we talked it out, and we said, okay, let's go somewhere where we can find someone in need. And we said, look, let's go to the inner city. We decided on a grocery store. We decided on an amount. And what we didn't realize when we put ourselves in that moment is we were conflicted, because as we walked in and we were walking the aisles of Kroger's, the grocery store here locally, we only had one gift card, but we saw 2 different women that might deserve it, because they had kids. They had small kids pushing a shopping cart. And we were like, oh my God, who deserves it more than somebody else? But we made a decision. We went and did it. It blew us away. So again, it's not only what they felt, but it's what we felt. It's what we felt, and that's that you can find this love between total strangers. So that, you know, of course, we videoed it, we shared it to social media, and then the outpouring of people, you know, who became emotional from seeing what took place. So we were like, wow, maybe we're onto something. So we said, okay, where do we go next? So we went about and we did about 5 or 6 more over the course of the next month. And as we kept sharing them, then it was the outpouring of people in the community were like
reaching out, right?
reaching out, going, how do you find where you're going to go? And then somebody goes, what if I told you of somebody who needed a smile, who needed to feel like, okay, who is it? Tell me the story. You know, and then they're sharing with you, you know, well, I'm a school teacher at this school. She's 28. She's battling stage 3 colon cancer, but she comes to school every day and is so positive, and her kids love her, but she's battling for her life. She needs to feel loved. And I was like, that's brilliant. Let's go do this. You know, so then as we started doing that, more people in the community reached out, and then we're in the fall of 2019 now, and somebody locally who I knew through church was like, why are you not sharing this on LinkedIn? And of course I was like, I thought I'd go there to find a job. I'm like no, you need to put these things on LinkedIn. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I was on LinkedIn like a lot of people, like the millions and millions of people that exist, but I was never posting anything. And I went to look there to maybe to network a little bit or look for a job. And I had no following, but I did. I put it out there, and I continued to put it out there, and it resonated. And then as I started putting those out there, I started, you know, putting more about my relationship with my daughter. But again, I go back and again, answer the question you asked me. And that was, I continued to see and feel it. So the level of energy and enthusiasm and excitement that I have is so real, because when I go do them, you know, I look at when I do these to touch the lives of 2 people. And that is, first and foremost, it's the person in the moment. Why we're going, because we're there, we're present, you know, we're in their space. The second one is who watches it. Because people who watch it, who the impact and the messages that I get, how they're inspired, is truly, Nidal. I have private moments at time when people send me private messages and open up about where they are on their journey and what they see and continue to see, brings me to tears at times. You know, so that's what inspires me to continue to do more. It's because I see and feel it every day. In a lot of cases, from complete strangers all over the world.
Who decides which story that it's worth Michael Ray to take care of it and make it
so
smart?
we're not overly inundated with them, but yet generally speaking, it's just me. It's my girlfriend. When I had my first board meeting, and COVID kind of helped that fall apart, because I had assembled a board and we were starting to talk through some things, and we were presented with a bigger opportunity. But where we were really early on, and when I say early on, I might have done 30, 40 of these.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody always had some kind of challenge, hardship, struggle. And I got presented with one, and it had nothing to do with need. They weren't going through a struggle whatsoever. but he was a dentist. But he was doing so much good for his employees and his patients. And one of his employees reached out and said he's one of the most selfless dentists, because that dude, if somebody was broke, would wipe out their, would wipe out their payment or what. So he was doing so many things. I was like, that's interesting. Yeah. Maybe we should recognize somebody for what they're doing in the lives of others too. And I was like, yeah, we need to find a way to do something for those people too. And again, it's not about balloons and gift cards, even though I took balloons, but it was because I had created this platform and movement just to allow people to recognize the beauty of even people who are not going through struggles and challenges in life, but do make such an impact on the lives of others. So when you asked me that, I mean, it started to evolve. And so, it's not really that hard. And I say that because most of the time when people reach out, they're deserving.
Absolutely.
The stories are deserving, occasionally. There've been a few here or there because the need's a little bit more, and we've done more than just give somebody $50 to $100, and we've handed over $300-400. We vetted a little bit because we don't have endless resources coming in. I'm not some large organization with grants and everything else. So if we're putting a little bit more out there, and we had one even this past Christmas that was that situation, and we felt the need to do more than what we normally did. And I just vetted it out a little bit, and it all made sense. And I was like, no, this family needs more. And we went and gave a mother of 4 kids, and she had a special needs kid $400 for Christmas. So yeah.
I want to say anyone can reach you through the webpage. It's streaming, and also I put your phone number.
And you know what I do? It's on LinkedIn. I literally have people that text me, email me, call me. It's all good.
And Michael, may I ask, all this tremendous work, how it's funded? Can you share with us?
Yeah. So
I think there is a struggle in some corners about this project, right?
Well, of course. So where I guess I really first started realizing it was I met with someone in a leadership role in Louisville about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, your biggest challenge, and this was before COVID. She said, your biggest challenge is just sustaining it. And of course, I had goals as I started putting the pieces together to put together a board that we wanted to do bigger and better things, because I understood sometimes that to make someone smile, and I had one January of last year in which we went to a mother who had 6 kids, and 3 months before they lost their 14-year-old daughter to a seizure. She died suddenly, and they were struggling horribly financially. And we went and gave them $100, and I had heard from several people that knew them well who had reached out to me. They couldn't even afford to buy a tombstone for their kid. And it was really the first time that I knew, Nidal, that, sometimes $100 just doesn't get it done. To make someone smile. The circumstances could be that bad. So again, when you talk about sustainability, so most of what happens is it comes off of people opening their hearts and say, hey, here's $50. We love what you do.
Supporting the project.
Just supporting me. But yet the thing that I had a real struggle with, and really it was probably more the people in my life who know me, is that the ability to ask. You have to start asking for money. Yeah. And I didn't find that place until probably late last summer. And all the stuff that I always posted on LinkedIn, most of the donations came locally. Wow. From people until I really started then putting something in my messaging and just asking people, because again, it's just done off of these small little pieces of generosity where somebody sends me 25, 50, 100. It's all these small things here or there that add up that can help me give it away, but can also help me sustain and do what I do. And, look, COVID's impacted so many of us.
Exactly.
But yet we had great plans too, to fundraise on much bigger levels, to do things differently. But in all of those cases, it meant getting human beings together in larger groups. And, so when that took place, the work doesn't stop. We just found more creative ways, in the first few months to do it. But yet it's like, okay, we can't host this function and try to raise a few $1,000s. Oh, well, we'll just keep doing what we do. Again, it goes back to that being patient, but it, I do ask more now. I do ask, and I put it in my messaging. If you love what we do and you would love to support us, and truly, I've had people send me $5 from across the world. And that's the reality of it. And that's the reality and beauty of that. Every little bit helps to go into, what we're doing. And I did make a commitment to the love of my life and my board last March that I would quit funding the expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So up to that time, most of it was by me. I wasn't making any money, and I was covering all the expenses. But yet then we said, okay, if somebody donates, look, you can give a portion of it away. You got to cover. I mean, just the simplicity of the balloons that we give away adds up. And then, one the other night we drove 45 minutes across town. So I had 2.5 hours into it in gas and so those things, so thankfully now, I'm nowhere near, where we need to be, but yet it's just like the other day. And this is how beautiful it is. I was being interviewed and it was like, sometimes there's these unexpected costs of going, holy crap, I owe $200 for my website. And I shared it with somebody because I'm like, those are those things that come up that people don't realize when you do this. But you know what? The person was in Vancouver, British Columbia. And they sent me $200 and said, go pay for your website. That's love. That's love in action. One more just really quick story. I did a random act of kindness for a homeless dude. I ran into him on my birthday. In last August, I shared it on LinkedIn. And then somebody who follows me in England was touched by that story and said, can you go find that homeless guy again? And I was like, how in the hell am I going to do that? But as fate or the good Lord would have it, I ran into somebody who owned that restaurant we left and said, that guy comes all the time. I reached back out to the guy in England. He Western Union me $100. And you know what? We went back down to that restaurant. We found Nate. And I said, Nate, you can't believe this, man, but this is how it impacts people around the world. Here's $100, man.
From overseas.
He starts crying.
It's coming from overseas.
Honestly, I get donations from all over the world.
And I want to mention too that you have items on your website, right?
I do. And you know what? Look, I'm wearing one right now that says smile. I have a bunch of different ones in sayings, but so yes, and I have had people, because I don't know who buys it and where they are, but you know what usually happens is they end up taking a picture when they get it and say, dude, I love it. I love supporting you. And then they're all over the friggin' world. And that was just another avenue. And I don't promote it enough, but I make a little bit of money. I honestly might make $150 a month right now. And I think part of it is I'm not marketing it well enough.
You should.
So, but again, it does blow me away that somebody, 1,000, 5,000 miles away would buy something. And I'm like, Smile Project Louisville is over England.
Michael, is there plans to expand the project like to other states? And if there is, what would be the name?
You
Are you
know,
going to
I don't
operate
know, and
under the same name?
I have thought about that, and I guess on some level, when you talk about scaling, so is it Smile Project Louisville, and then hey, we're in Miami, so it's Smile Project Miami because there's an ambassador down there.
Mhm.
Yes, we're not actively doing it, but yet COVID has been made a big impact, and that, as I shared with you, me going to Florida next week and going to about a dozen different cities throughout that state and meeting with people is just building relationships with people who have followed me on this journey, who have been touched by what I do, to continue to do these things in their lives and impacting the lives of others. So we're starting in Florida. How that looks after that, I don't know. I guess it's the grace of God and in trying to figure it out. And I'm taking a leap of faith because I don't really have the money, but in life sometimes you take risks and you just do, and you hope in doing that good comes back to you in return. So we're starting there, in the hope from there is, okay, well, a month later, let's go Northeast. Let's go to Philly, New York City. Let's go up to Boston. Okay, a month later, let's go to Texas. We'll hit Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, Austin. Let's go to California,
One
and
step at
continue
a
to do this. And then again, as we've built relationships, we have ambassadors, or I don't know, whatever in the hell you call it. I'm not the business guy.
You are the guy who makes everyone smile.
That's the thing. I know where my strength, my strengths and weaknesses are. So it's really just surrounding myself with good people who believe in what we're trying to do, and that all kind of works itself out. So
We are hitting the 1 hour, and I know you are busy, but I have couple questions.
sure.
The first, I want to say that you was featured on CBS and ABC affiliates in your area, and you was also featured as one of the top 50 influencers on LinkedIn.
I was, yeah.
And do you think what you are doing on the social media and making others know what you are doing can encourage others to come with other projects that will bring us more together?
I said it earlier. Hell yes. You could be an atheist. If you're a Christian, you can be an atheist, have a near death experience where, let's say, you die and you're brought back to life. But in that moment where you die, you see the face of God, and you come back then all of a sudden a believer. I'm here to tell you right now, my friend, yes. Yes, because this is what I what I see and feel, how people are so inspired and how it impacts them in their life and the stories they have chosen to share with me. Again, it's just a matter in each video to recreate what I felt from my daughter in a drive-through.
I'm speechless. I can't imagine, life, how good it's getting with persons like you bringing all this hope. Because when you reach to someone, it's not about the only the balloons and
It
the gift
isn't.
cards. It's
Yeah.
about you are showing there. Let them notice that. Don't worry. From a belief point of a view, something good is gonna happen. Just smile.
And when you said social media, people do say, "Oh my God, I hate it." Why? It's the vehicle in which you could choose to do so much good. And then somebody go, "Oh my God, sometimes I get on there and somebody's political." Move on.
Move on.
Move on. Don't engage. You don't have to. Just move on, because so much good does exist in social media. So again, it's how we perceive it sometimes in our minds. So use it for the power of love and good.
My question before the last one. Congratulations for Browns, Cleveland Browns.
Right?
You went crazy in front of the screen. Why was that?
I guess because I was born in Louisville. My father worked for the FBI. When I was 6, we moved to Cleveland, Ohio. So my entire childhood for about 17, 18 years was in Cleveland. And I became a huge Cleveland fan. And we had lived through about 25 plus years of adversity.
Oh,
of adversity. So it was those brief moments of then finding such joy in what was going on. And I did put a video out there too. It was the entire season. And that's the beauty of it too, because unfortunately there's only one winner.
Yeah.
So there's going to be frustration for 98% of us, but you have to be able to enjoy too the journey along the way and looking back on it again, even though we're not going to the Super Bowl and all that kind of stuff. The entire 4 months was a beautiful time because I spent it with some family and some friends watching games and my son, and get to enjoy, all of that. And a lot of it too went back to my son. He's 14. So again, when I say 25 years, get to enjoy what I enjoyed as they were that good in the 80s and 90s. So I was reliving some of that with my son.
Congratulations, and this is show a lot of loyalty.
Yeah. Well, again, regardless of the circumstances, it doesn't mean you have to switch teams in life.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes it that much sweeter. So
it's not a political game.
It's right. It's not like soccer overseas where people want to chop heads off if their teams don't win.
Michael Ray, before I end this epic, tell me something amazing about you.
Tell me something amazing about me. Wow, you flipped the script on me. I find such joy in very simple private moments in my life. And sometimes it brings me to tears because I understand the presence of God. And our time on earth is so short, in that what it must feel like if you do have faith and you do believe in the Almighty, of actually moving on and spending eternity in that space.
Michael Ray, you are a legend. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Well, my man, this is just the start of something beautiful between you and I. And I often say this, I am blessed. It's a two-way street here, that you asked me to be a part of your community, to want to spend time with me to learn more. So thank you for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael, for all the value and for all the smiles you are spreading. God bless you, bless your family, and please don't stop. Please.
Well, you know what I say? We're just getting started, baby.
Oh, that's a good spirit.
Right?
Look, the Browns, they made it after what? From 20.
I got a lot to look forward to, man. So yes.
Where's the bottle? Where's the bottle?
Yes. Where's the bottle?
Yeah.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Come on, man. You get to. So I'm going to give you two things.
We need to celebrate. Hey, how you doing?
So hold on a second here. So what people don't realize too, and I'll leave you with this, that 97% of the world's burden
Uh-huh.
comes from Kentucky. So I enjoy
Wow.
my bourbon. So right here is all the
Michael,
bourbon, and
Michael,
then here is
this
a
is a
bottle that actually came from
liquor
Ohio that
store.
says, let's see, wait, it says Cleveland on it. I don't know if you can see it
Yeah, yeah,
here.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a liquor store, Michael.
Well, it becomes an acquired taste, and some taste better than others, and have different flavors, and it's all about aging and how they process it and stuff like that. And that's the beauty of it is, again, when you talk about patience, in this case, 7, 10, 12, 15, 20, 23 years, imagine something sitting in an oaken barrel for that long, waiting, you know.
Wow.
So yeah.
Enjoy and God bless you. And thank you again, Michael.
Hey, God bless you and your family and everything you do, my man. We'll speak again soon, okay?
Sure.
All
Stay
right, see you,
safe.
my friend.
This was Michael Ray, the legend and the founder of Smile Project Louisville. As usual, I want to end with a quote, and I couldn't find a better quote to end with. Like, be the reason someone smiles today. This was Nidal Haykal. Stay safe.